Something we hear a lot from our community is that they don't have any confidence when they go up in front of their class, and that's because they don't have anything in their tool belt.
And they're just saying words, go faster, good job.
Just kind of regurgitate things that they've heard other people say, and there's no system in place to help them clearly communicate and create an experience. So that's where we come in. We give them those tools.
What's up, fitness friends? Welcome back to the Future of Fitness podcast and interview series. This is your host, Eric Malzone, and this is episode number 164. I get to talk to Barry Ennis and Shay Kostabi. They are from fitnesscareermastery.com and a fitness power couple. I'll say it. It was really fun. Really had a great conversation with them. Their stories are fantastic and how they got here. 20 plus years combined within the fitness and health industry, and international, right? I think in their stories, we talked about them being in India, Dubai, where else? China. I think I'm missing another one or two. So they've been around, right? They've seen a lot of things. They have a lot of experience to offer. And in this particular show, we really honed in on client experience and what that means, and understanding that it's a huge component, to everything in the fitness industry now is how do you create a very unique and seemingly organic yet very focused client experience on who you're trying to serve, right? Who your ideal client is. And then more importantly, who you are, understanding what your core values are as a business and a brand and a person, and how to put that into your business to attract the right clients. And very powerful. They work with a lot of fitness professionals and boutique studio owners and helping them develop and their business and find clarity and therefore traction in what they do in an industry, especially in Southern California where they are, which is very crowded. I don't think there is a market in the world that, and this is me coming from Southern California as well, that is more crowded than that and more competitive. So you truly have to have an edge. So coming from their perspective and working in that area, it's very powerful. So yeah, it was awesome. At the end as well, they gave very, very clear, concise 4 actionable steps that you can take in creating a client experience. And one of the things we talked about here was tech, right? How does tech play into it now? And then in the next few years and 10 years and decade, we don't know what tech's going to look like in 10 years, but we have a pretty good idea of what it is now, maybe where it's going in the next 2. So how do we leverage that? How important is it? You'll find out in this episode. Before we get to it, couple of our sponsors. Number one, level5mentors.com. So if you are an entrepreneur and you're looking to achieve the highest levels of freedom in time, money, relationships, purpose, and health, isn't that the most important 5? Then go to level5mentors.com, schedule a free call, and we'd love to talk to you. As well as certifiedcoursecreation.com. So if you have a concept for an accredited online certification that can be both impactful and lucrative, let us know, because we can help you get there and we can help that dream become a reality. And we want to. We're looking for great partners in 2020. And if you feel like you have a depth of knowledge that you need to get out there and you want to scale your influence and stop trading your time for money, then perhaps an accredited online certification is the way to go. So go check it out, certifiedcoursecreation.com. And finally, if you're looking to network and talk to other people within the fitness industry, go check out our Facebook group, The Modern Fitness Pro. It's free. It's closed. There is a small application that I ask you to fill out. Once you're in there, we can chat. We can talk more. I post all my episodes in there as well. So it's a good way to keep on top of what's going on in the industry. And I would love to meet you. So go check it out. Without further ado, episode number 164, Barry and Shay from fitnesscareermastery.com. We're live. Barry and Shay.
Right.
Hi.
Yes. How's it going, Eric?
Good. Really good. It's been, we've kind of rescheduled a bunch of times and I've been looking for this interview for quite some time. So thank you guys for making the time. I know you're very busy.
Tables are turned.
Yeah. Right. Good. Well, let's get everyone introduced to you. People who don't know who you are, give us your background, your story.
Together, we are Fitness Career Mastery. We joined forces earlier this year. Shay had a consultancy and I had the Fitness Career Mastery podcast. And we've come together to provide high-level education and resources to fitness business owners and studio owners out there. But before all of that happened, we had a lot of experience in the industry ourselves.
Yep. We've both been teaching for over a decade. I started in New York City basically during the birth of the boutique fitness boom. I was born as a fitness professional the same year that SoulCycle was born. So I witnessed that explosion. I was in the middle of it. And because of that, and because of my background and my passion for it, my career just exploded very quickly. I grew up as a performer, dancing and acting, and I was in New York to be an actress. But I fell in love with fitness at some point and just couldn't turn. I tried to do both and I couldn't turn my back on it. And it was just the right time. I was at the right time at the right place, which eventually took me all over the planet. So after about 6 years of teaching, and really I've been teaching since I was 13. I started teaching dance at 13, and I've worked as a choreographer. I've worked in production for film and for commercials. So I just have all of these experiences, and I have a really keen eye for detail, and I'm very creative, and I'm a good leader and a teacher. And I just thought, I want to do this on my own. And so very early on, because I think it takes most people, about a decade before they reach the place where they consider themselves a master. But if we look at my background, I'd actually been working on a lot of these things for many, many years. So I moved back to Los Angeles, and I was like, I want to do this on my own. I'm going to start my own thing. So I started a collective in Los Angeles called The Local Skill. And I produced these immersive fitness experiences. Our whole mission was to merge art and wellness. So on many different levels.
Interesting.
And we came up with all kinds of concepts and pop-ups, and we worked with studios in the area and did media projects. It was super fun. And so through that, I started consulting. I met Barry in Dubai, where he was teaching. I was sent there to train him to teach a bar class. And we just became really good friends and stayed in touch over the years. And we both moved to Los Angeles around the same time. And I was working with a company in China, and as their consultant and their master trainer and programmer. And they kept asking me to move there. I was like, no, I got my own business in LA. I got a boyfriend and a dog, and I can't do that. So I would fly back and forth every few months. And there came an opportunity. It was just, again, the right place at the right time. They really needed somebody there more full time. So we moved to Beijing together to help launch the studio in Beijing. And then Barry stayed on for 3 years, and he can tell the rest of his story. But that's how my consulting kind of happened. I just started producing things and helping people and built my business. And as Barry said, when he started the podcast, it just made sense. I said, well, this is such a good vehicle. This is such an incredible lead generator and a way to share what I do and what we do, but there's no business behind it. And I have a business. So let's join forces and make this happen, because you're doing things that I've been wanting to do for years that I don't have the bandwidth for. And I was leading this lifestyle and doing all these projects that Barry very much wanted to be doing in his career. And I'm like, well, why not make this happen?
Yeah.
Then we got married.
And then you got married. Right. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, it's interesting because I think Shay represents a lot of people that enter the fitness industry coming from dance or coming from
a
theater.
Performance background. Yeah.
And I think I represent another group of people that come from sports or athletics. And
because I hated PE growing up. I got my dance teacher to sign a note for me. I hated running. I would go to the gym and cry. I really hated it. So
that was exactly the opposite. I was waking up at 5 a.m. to travel an hour to go do baseball camp for 6 hours because I really wanted to play professionally. So that was my upbringing. Growing up, that was my introduction to fitness and exercise and sports and conditioning. I played baseball all the way through college, and yoga was actually a big part of my training for baseball.
Interesting.
I don't know if that's because I grew up in LA and that's just kind of more of the culture here, but yoga became, in one way or another. Yoga became a huge part of, I guess, my practice routine. I noticed it was helping me prevent injury. I was feeling stronger and more capable on the field. And then I was also feeling like more present and grounded. Baseball is a very mental game. So yoga was very important to me there, like meditation and visualization. So that's actually become a big part of my teaching now. But graduating college, there wasn't the opportunity to continue that baseball career. So I decided that yoga would be a good thing to do. I think a lot of people come out of college not sure what they want to do with their major. I was one of those people. I thought, I'll teach yoga until I figure my life out. And I guess I haven't figured it out yet because I'm still teaching. No, I'm kidding.
No one has it figured out, Barry.
Yeah, if you figured it out, you'd be dead. What would be the point?
Yeah.
It's your life.
No, I'm clearly doing what I was meant to do, but I just dove headlong into yoga, and it wasn't shortly after graduating that I discovered this yoga teacher training and this philosophy that kind of took these ancient life principles from yoga texts and applied them to everyday living, how to develop a better relationship with yourself and with others, and form a more mindful lifestyle. And that I was so drawn to that I moved to India to study it in more depth. And I wound up living there for 6 years before taking this path into living life as an expat, which I've essentially been doing for the last 10 years.
Well, not India for 6 years. That's a long time.
Did I say 6 years? I was there for 6 months.
Okay.
And then
whoa.
Yeah. Cool. And I'm like, that's a whole other story, India for 6 years.
Yeah. It felt like 6 years in some ways.
A lifetime.
Exactly.
And then Dubai.
I got an opportunity in Dubai. I was there for longer, 4 years, helped teach boot camps on the beach. I was managing the first international studio of a really big US brand before moving back to Los Angeles. And then
he didn't last long. I shipped him off to China.
Yeah, back to China and abroad. So I've been all over the world. I've had the unique opportunity to see fitness grow in populations where it's not very popular or not part of the culture, and be witness to it spreading across the globe, which is really, really cool.
Fascinating, because we're going to talk about this today. But in China, fitness is very new. But because of the age that we're in, because of technology, because of social media, because they see what we're doing in the West that took us 30 years to build up to,
they want that now.
They want it now, and they actually, in some ways, have the capacity to catch up. They can, in terms of studio build out and on demand, but the depth of knowledge, the experience, the talent, and the
just
language and the culture just doesn't exist.
In the US, we grow up playing sports and being very active, and that's just not part of their culture.
People would come to our studio. People would come to the studio that we were working with for a cycle class dressed in overalls, or
blue jeans and a button-down shirt,
full on like silk chiffon. It just the most, leather belts. And one girl came in like a full-on sweatshirt. She was like she had like this urban vibe and had, like she looked like Billie Eilish. She had like this big sweatshirt and a beanie on. You're gonna pass out. That's too many clothes for
right.
class. Or women would show up to the bar classes in like a cute little skirt. Well, no, we lift our legs up and we do all kinds of things. It's inappropriate attire.
Yeah.
So we had to teach them what to wear and how to behave and what was expected. And some of them had never sweat like that before.
Yeah.
So it was really fascinating to be a part of that.
And on the instructor side, I just found that there was so much that I had picked up on that when I was training them how to be in front of a group of people, just they didn't know, stuff that came second nature to me. So that was a huge inspiration for me to start the Fitness Career Mastery podcast and find a platform to share all of these tips and insights and
stuff that we've taken for granted, that we've learned over time. And in an age where, because the industry is growing so quickly, people don't have time to take 10 years to figure it out on their own. So this is a way for us to help others fast track themselves and get up to speed and up to the level where they need to be. Because what we're going to be talking about today really is a lot about experience and what clients are expecting and what we should be offering to them. So they've got to get savvy. They've got to get on top of it really, really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think there's some, I have a lot of follow-up questions on that whole story. It's amazing. And I think, the cool thing about it is, you guys have lived, multiple different lives and different worlds and literally what seems like different worlds. These countries you're talking about aren't like Canada, right? Like the cultures are dynamically different.
Yeah.
Actually, I always joke that I went to the 3 countries with the hardest languages to learn. Hindi,
you did.
Arabic, and Mandarin.
Yeah.
It's like a struggle
crazy.
at times.
I would be wandering around still to this day, looking for McDonald's or something,
Yeah. I just did a training in Merida, Mexico, which is, Mexico is a third world country. And Merida is a tiny little town. There's no architecture. There's, the streets are unpaved. People kind of drive wherever they want, but there's a fitness culture there and they want it and they want to be a part of it. And they're really, really active. So the boutique fitness industry is taking off in this place where you couldn't even, driving down the street, I'm like, we're building a boutique fitness studio here. With a full-on cycle theater and a HIIT room. That's happening. Okay. So cool. It's just crazy because when you see, when you walk into the space, it's incredible that it even exists in a place like that. When you walk out the door and there's like a shack with a dude selling some tacos and some dogs running around, you're like, this is wild. But
it's not fitness, LA. Well, it kind of is a little LA. Depends on the brain.
But fitness is just so huge and people want it so badly. And it's just...
Do you find that people's motivation for fitness is different in different cultures than it is here?
Yes.
At the first stage, everyone here was just, it's aesthetics, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But how does that differ in different cultures?
Well, I'll take this one. What I've noticed in Dubai and in China, it's almost a status symbol.
Yes.
Actually, it's a
social status.
Yeah. It's a sign that you have disposable income. It's part of this lifestyle of extravagance that you live in Dubai. It goes right in line with the expensive villa that you have on the beach and the nanny and the driver that you have and the car that you drive. And I think, the type of fitness attire that you wear kind of falls into line with that.
Who you hang out with, what other clubs and memberships you belong to. The place that we worked at in China has a very close relationship with Mercedes. So if you are part of the Mercedes club, and we have those here too. There's some Mercedes Athletic Club and social clubs and stuff. So then you would be a part of this studio.
Right. Which is wild thinking about our culture here in the US, because to align a fitness studio with a luxury car just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
No. It doesn't. No, it doesn't, because they would probably be getting a personal trainer in their home.
Exactly.
Yes. Right. But we have other ways. I think it's a social status here as well. People are trading in their Balenciaga bags for their Lululemon or their Lucas Hue leggings, which are $400. Lucas Hue is the $400 a pair of leggings. So the fact that even exists, it is insane to me that people spend $1,000 in an outfit to sweat in. But again, that's a status symbol. I have disposable income. I have a luxury lifestyle. I make my own schedule. I can pay for this high-end membership at an Equinox or otherwise, or I can afford to buy a Peloton and put it in my house and, and pay for the on-demand and be a part of that community.
So it's interesting. I see the US almost trending from aesthetics to more of a status symbol, whereas in other countries it's going in the opposite direction. They're entering, using it as a status symbol, but then falling in love with it, feeling the results, feeling how it's changing them internally, and they're moving more towards valuing it as aesthetics or mental health or otherwise.
Yeah. It's fascinating. I mean, I want to unpack this a little bit more, but I don't want to get too far off course, because I'd just be curious, like, how do you guys find these international consulting gigs or these jobs? Like, what networks have you guys tapped into? Because a lot of people are probably listening. They're like, I want a cool job in China. You know, I want that.
It's mostly been word of mouth.
Mm-hmm. To be honest, sorry if you're listening.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
there's no secrets.
Barry just happened to be overseas and arrived in Dubai. You were selling valves or something, right? You were working for a valve company. I was
doing nothing related to fitness. I was selling large size valves you can walk into, 6-foot valves for oil and gas pipelines. I just needed a job opportunity. And that was the first one.
And it just so happened that a large US brand was opening in Dubai. They needed instructors. They needed studio managers, and obviously you didn't want to be selling valves. So you jumped on that. That's a huge opportunity. And so he's very lucky. And I think that's super uncommon. I would say for me, there a couple of things needed to happen first before I got this opportunity. I had to have experience. I was aligned with a very well-known national brand that definitely everybody in the industry knows, and that most people have heard of. And I started on the creative team, so helping to develop the programming in-house as it involved. Then I tried recruiting and I didn't like that. And I eventually moved into basically a talent management role as the company was growing. We made it up. It was at a time, everything was so new. So I made up my role. I was like, these are the things I'd like to be responsible for. I was very, very lucky. That doesn't happen very often. And through that, I think I'm very ambitious, and my background in wanting to be an actress was like, well, how do I get well known as a fitness professional? So, and living in New York City. So I ended up doing, I've been on through all the media outlets, like in every, Glamour magazine and Shape magazine, and getting a feature on Pop Sugar. And then I started working with another startup, which was a fitness product, and I built a program for it. And then we made DVDs and sold them on QVC. And I did, so I think I had this internal drive to become well known so that I could have an impact. So that's the drive. So people knew who I was. So then, my social media following was not even that high at the time. It had nothing to do with that. I was doing work. People were seeing me on TV and in media. And then the other key factor was I made sure at the time, nobody really uses, I can't even remember what it's called, like your Google Plus profile thing. What is that called?
That thing went dead in the water
that died
3 years ago. Yeah.
But at the time, the company I was working with was like, this needs to be like super clear on every channel. So having an Instagram, a Twitter, a Facebook fan page, the Google, whatever profile, posting on those things daily, and then a LinkedIn. And I paid for LinkedIn Premium, which at the time, LinkedIn to me is, some people love it, but my brain does not process the information on that page in a way that is interesting to me.
Oh, I love it.
See? So I didn't, but it's so valuable. I see the value in it, but I had to have somebody help me. I was like, help me do this LinkedIn thing. That opened up, seriously, just paying for a premium account opened up the doors for me, and making sure I did the things like continually updating my profile, posting things on LinkedIn. So I would get these job opportunities. New Balance called me, and they started a female ambassador program. They chose 7 women in the entire country. And again, I had 1,500 followers on Instagram. This is like before that was really important. So then I became, featured through New Balance, which was really, really great for me. And just being, just being a part of the system, getting out there and being involved in different communities. And then basically what happened was I got my first international, was that my first? I think the first big international job offer that I got was through this company, which is based in Taiwan. And I received an email through LinkedIn. Hi, we're looking for a master trainer in cycling and bar, which is what I did. And everybody knew that because I had a website and everything you could tell. And we want somebody to move here for 3 years and help us build our brand. And I had to Google Taiwan. I was like, where is Taiwan in the world? Or Taipei, move to Taipei for 3 years. What American in their right mind is just going to move to Taipei on a whim? Nobody, unless you're crazy, which is me.
Yeah. Shay does. Yeah.
It's funny because this is absolutely the way to do it if you're looking to teach on an international scale, but that's the experience that you've had. The experience that I've had is to do that crazy thing.
To just go do the crazy thing.
Yeah.
You have to be a little insane to want to go to a foreign country where you know absolutely no one and you can't speak the language and say, yes, I'm going to help you build your brand. I mean, it's a huge...
But that's exactly what I did. And that's what put me on the map. So if you're like me and willing to go on an adventure, like just get on Google.
Get on a plane and go somewhere.
Get on Instagram, search some hashtags, find out what studios are opening in some countries that you might be interested in checking out or living in. They are so hungry for Western instructors.
Yes.
They'll hire you in a heartbeat.
Yeah. So you can reach out yourself, especially now with social media and all of the other tools that we have. And
that kind of puts you on the map as an international fitness instructor, which is what happened to me. So either path is completely acceptable or a hybrid of the two.
I just responded to an email. So the one way is, I think both, a combination of both, making sure that that people can find you, that they know what you do and who you are and what your vibe is and what you're good at and what you're passionate about.
On who you are.
Being super clear about who you are and doing the work, just not waiting for an opportunity, putting yourself in a position where you are creating in some way, even if it's small. That's what attracts people to you. That's why that email came in. And I said, no, of course I don't want to move to Taiwan for 3 years, but I'd love to find a way to work together. That's the first thing I said. And they flew out to me and I didn't have to move there is the other thing, is you don't have to just do what somebody else asks you. If
you can counter offer.
You can counter offer.
Yes, we'll do it all the time.
Especially if you have the experience and the skills and they can see that. And then the second piece is, I think, to just reach out if that's something that you want to do, because as Barry said, and as we've explained, in places like South America, Mexico, throughout Southeast Asia, fitness is still, and even in Europe, it's still very new, and they need to pull in people that have more experience than they do. And that means it needs to come from the United States right now, but it's always going to come from the United States.
Australia,
we have US, Australia, and Canada now is catching up.
Yeah.
But the podcast has also been a great lead generator for us. It's like a really incredible way to
establish ourselves as
reach an international community
and reach people all over the world.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I had Natalie Dow. I don't know if you know her. She's out of Singapore, but she was on the podcast like early, like first 50 episodes. And we talked about the opportunities in Singapore and how, she called it
going out there very
China
soon.
For beginners. I think the way she referred to Singapore was like, you kind of come in because it's easy. It's friendly to Western culture. And
everybody speaks English. Yeah.
It's very and she's doing quite well. I mean, it seems like she's doing quite well. So let's get into kind of what you guys do. I'm curious. First of all, I love the fact that you guys have mastery in there because, we talked about like 10-year periods of mastery, right? And I feel like if there's one message I would want people to understand is like, hey, it's okay if you don't get it in the first year.
Yes.
Right. That's a big thing. And mastery comes over time. And anecdotally, when I sold my gyms in California and went out and started doing other things, the guy who was coaching me and my mentor at the time, he's like, hey, listen, Eric, it took you 9 years to get pretty good at owning a gym, right? Now, whatever you start next, just understand it's probably going to take another 9.
Takes time. Yeah.
And I think that's a message that a lot of people need to hear. And that's why I really appreciate the fact that you use mastery, because it implies time, lifetime. getting good at something.
Totally.
Right.
In fact, I'd say if you get to a year and you're discouraged that you aren't at the level that you want to be, don't get discouraged. But then also if you get to a year and you feel like you've gotten to that point, then you've also got to check in with yourself, because neither are correct. And we can always be finding ways to fine tune what it is that we do in order to continually chase mastery.
Yeah, education is a huge component of our business, whether we offer that for free through the podcast or through our products and services. Basically, what we've realized is that it's, as you said, it takes time to become really good at something. And the traditional way in which we are certified in fitness is that you sign up for a course for 1 to 4 days max. It's usually a weekend, 16 hours. And you just have to download all of the information, especially if it's a program. So if you want to teach Zumba, I think it's a 1-day, 8-hour certification. If you want to become a cycling instructor, those are all 1-day, 8-hour certifications. It's a lot of information, and there's definitely value. There's foundation level stuff that you need to know, but in absolutely no way does that certification teach you to teach. It teaches you what you should teach, but it does not give you the skill to actually teach and communicate and connect with people. And
similarly, if you get your ACE or your NASM, teaches you all the fundamentals you need to know to be a personal trainer or otherwise. But then you're just kind of tossed out there and you're not taught how to find clients or connect with clients or build a business around that. So
a lot of these people are left to their own devices. A lot of trainers, as we mentioned, that come into the industry are either from a performance background or from an athletic background, or they're people that have, they have their own personal weight loss story, or they've overcome something and they just want to pay it forward. Most of these people don't have a business degree, or a marketing degree, or they don't know anything about sales. They're not teachers. So and our industry as a whole is very highly unregulated. So what we're trying to do is fill in the gaps, especially now when there's so much out there. There's so much competition, and our resources are really strained. There's so many ways we can spend our time and our money. So why are we going to spend $100 going to a personal trainer or a $30 drop-in to go to this
on an app
class when, I could do it on my own, or I could get it on an app or whatever. So it's really, really important that these additional skills are developed. So what we do, we have the podcast where we talk to all kinds of people, and we have them share knowledge from sales funnels and marketing to brand building to client retention and acquisition to sound design and class experience.
How to make a playlist,
coaching and cueing, the do's and don'ts of Pilates, so basically everything.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And
however, there's an overarching theme that we've noticed exists in every one of those episodes, even though they're seemingly all over the place. And it has to do with, how do I create a better experience for
my clients,
the people that I'm seeing? And that comes through in your marketing, that comes through in your sales funnels, it comes through in how you teach your class and create your playlist,
your sound design, your lighting design.
It's the product.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's fundamentally what you're selling. It's what you're exchanging value for. It's
and
everything.
In fitness, the product is not just one thing. There's so many components to your product. So there's a lot of things to think about. But we do consulting for boutique fitness studios. We do a program development and teacher training, primarily in cycling, fitness, boxing, HIIT, and sculpt yoga. Cycling would be the number one for us. It's just the most popular. Fitness, boxing is coming up really quick. HIIT kind of comes and goes. I feel like it's making another resurgence right now. And then we do one-on-one coaching for fitness professionals, primarily instructors, but we also work with people. The call I had this morning is a fitness instructor who would like to transition into building her own brand. And then
just continuing education as well.
Yeah. So online courses. So we have a course right now called The Art of Coaching and Queuing, and we will roll out 5 more. So again, you learn your modality or you learn the method or the program, whatever it is. Nobody teaches you how to teach it. The number one thing you need to know how to do is how to communicate visually and verbally.
Something we hear a lot from our community is that they don't have any confidence when they go up in front of their class. And that's because they don't have anything in their tool belt. And
they're just saying words, go faster, good job.
Just kind of regurgitate things that they've heard other people say. And there's no system in place to help them clearly communicate and create an experience. So that's where we come in. We give them those tools. So they're not having to think about so much when they're in front of their class, and they can focus more on letting their personality come out, which is what provides. Yeah.
And then we have live workshops, which will eventually turn into online courses. So one of them being persona development, which is how you develop charisma as an instructor. And really it comes down to knowing who you are and your core values. It's a really fun workshop. We also teach workshops on musicality and playlisting. We have a psychology of motivation course. So these are things that we teach internally when a boutique studio hires us. And this is information that should be available to all teachers, whether you teach at a 24-hour fitness or Gold's Gym or Soul Cycle. It shouldn't matter. These are fundamental things that everybody needs to know. But right now, trainers and instructors are only getting this kind of training if they work at a very high-end boutique studio. And I do not feel that that's proprietary. There are certain things that are, and these things are not one of them. How to communicate, how to engage, knowing about your client's psychology or how they receive information, how to put a playlist together appropriately. Like that's general information that is not currently available that everybody should have access to. That's what we're building, and that's what we offer.
Awesome.
The reason this is so very important in the fitness landscape right now is because it's gotten very, very competitive out there. Many markets are oversaturated. It's just harder to pull people's attention away from all the other experiences they could go out and spend their dime on. So developing all of these fine skills is going to ensure that people carve out time for your class, for your personal training session, get off of Instagram, say no to some other cool, fun opportunities that are out there, and they write into their calendar with permanent ink to make sure they come see you. But
it's not enough to just give people a good sweat anymore. It's not enough to be the smartest trainer in the room who knows everything about anatomy and physiology and kinesiology.
If you're not able to communicate that clearly or be entertaining or create an experience, people are just not going to come back.
Yeah. It's, there's a couple, when I was actually coaching people, the goal was to give them the best hour of their day.
Yes.
Right. Like how do you do that? It's just a feeling, right? It's a feeling. It's the workout. Sure. That's part of it. Your programming is not unimportant, but it's the experience. And what you guys are teaching, I don't want to put a label on it, but I will right now anyway, is that, I call it the now what, because people will go get a certification. Like I'll go get my CrossFit level 1, I'll get, my whatever cert. Right. And then I sit there and I'm like, okay, now what?
Now what?
100%.
Right. It's, but what you're talking about is that feeling. Is there are some things that I think people don't innately think about. How to remain present with your client. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a trainer, texting somebody like this, or like, okay, 5 more reps, bro, you're doing a good job. Or looking at their watch, or talking to another trainer while their client is working out, or eating a sandwich. I mean, this stuff really happens. I've seen it happen.
Sure.
Or in a group fitness setting, they're looking at themselves in the mirror and checking themselves out and fixing their hair.
They're not looking at anybody else in the room. They're totally concerned with themselves, or they're fiddling with their music the entire time, fiddling with their headset, their ponytail. They're checking their phone before class. They're not making themselves available. And ultimately what it comes down to is your presence. Are you giving people all of your energy in that? That's what they're coming for. They're not actually coming just for the workout. Like we said 1,000 times, they can do it in their house. If they were capable of doing it in their house, they would do it. They're there because they need you. They need somebody to hold them accountable. They need somebody to lift them up. They need somebody to motivate them. They want to be seen. They want to feel valued. They need help. So you can't just flip on the music and walk around and pace in front of the room and say 8 more reps, good job, for a whole hour. That's not enough. Yeah. So, and I think, we're trying to change the perception of the fitness professional in our industry. A lot of people say the word just is used. I'm just a trainer. I'm just a teacher. And it's a really, really important job. And it's a hard job. And you should not take your power of impact and influence for granted, whether you teach a class for 5 people or 1,000 people. That person, if you do your job right, is going to make decisions about their life based on the 1 hour they spend with you a day, or maybe 3 hours a week, right? How they dress, how they speak about themselves, the choices they make with food, the type of people they hang out with, the type of activities they engage in will be influenced by what you say and what you do and what you give to them in that hour.
Yeah.
So, it's not enough to just phone it in or just, put together a good program and just show up. It's not enough.
Yeah. It's interesting too, is I found in my coaching career that over time I started to just show up more and more, cause you can just go on autopilot.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it's really easy to just let that slide. And it's so,
and you take what you do
insidious.
For granted.
You
take your clients for granted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's crazy.
So burnout is another one. When you're training 8 hours a day on your feet, you're seeing clients back to back, or you're teaching 15 to 20 classes a week, which again is just why we hope when people come to us, it's like, how do you stay inspired? How do you stay connected to your why, which is something that we ask of our clients every day. So giving them the tools, a lot of this comes with our persona development course, giving them some tools that they can constantly come back to and check in with. The same goes for businesses, for the gyms, whether it's a CrossFit box or a Pilates studio. It's very easy to get burnt out on your business. You're doing the same thing every day. It's the same classes every day. You see a lot of same clients every day, and that can get really redundant for you. So how do you, where does the inspiration come from?
Right.
What can you look to inside yourself instead of outside, which is we were talking about before the call is, this new thing, this new technology. I need an in-body system, and I need fit metrics on the wall, and we've got to get heart rate monitors, and we're going to gamify the workout, and then we're going to put ourselves online, and
we've got
we're going to get a hologram trainer.
You guys could say it. Peloton the shit out of it. I don't mind if we swear on it. We're going to Peloton
the shit out of this studio, which I was telling you, I've heard a few times now. We got to Peloton that shit, which basically means what they're saying.
No idea what that means.
They want the studios, the brick and mortar businesses want what Peloton has. They want that power of influence. They want that authority. They want to make that impact. They want to have that reach, and therefore they want to make that money is ultimately what they're looking for. And so they're grasping at straws when they don't even know what they want.
Chasing after all these different shiny things that they think are going to help them when they're not realizing that all the answers are inside. What makes you unique? What are your unique strengths and skill sets? What are your values?
Come back to your core values of yourself and your business.
Really clear on that, then you're going to attract the right people.
Yeah.
Who's doing client experience really well? Like who do you look at right now in the market and say like, hey, they're they're a shining example of what it can be.
Actually, if you look at Peloton in the digital world, the things they do well is they've designed a piece of equipment that does not need very much maintenance. It's sturdy, it's sleek. You can fit it anywhere in your house. Somebody comes and helps you set it up.
Comes to set you up.
It doesn't need constant adjustments.
Yeah. We had the experience of interacting with a Peloton competitor, the bike arrived and it was sitting downstairs in our lobby in a box.
We didn't even know it was there.
I had to find a way to get it up a flight of stairs into the elevator, into our apartment. And then I spent an hour and a half assembling it myself.
Trying to figure out how to put it together. A lot of the pieces it was really heavy, but then a lot of the really important, like the movable parts were plastic and really, really cheap. So, and
client experience comes down to just the most subtle of details, and Peloton has thought through
to connect to
all
the app.
the steps. Yeah. That make it very easy for someone to get on the bike and enjoy it. And it really comes down to that. And Peloton has found that success because they've gotten very clear on who they are and their values. And we can see that in any other studio too. I just interviewed from CrossFit Modulus in Las Vegas.
Oh, Ray.
Help me out, Ray. I had an incredible conversation with him, and
he's mind-blowing.
I haven't been there, but he's clearly doing it right as well, providing a very bespoke experience for all of his clients coming in. So I think we see these shining examples.
But even looking outside of the industry, because we think about this all the time. Now we're kind of snobs. It doesn't matter if we go to a restaurant or have a shopping experience.
Yeah.
We were trying to find an outfit for a wedding, and we went to a very, very famous, well-known menswear store that I will not mention. And I basically was doing their job. They just couldn't find the right thing and said it didn't exist. And I said, this is it right here. And then I started picking out clothes for other dudes. Like I just, I couldn't help it. I was like, I'll do your job. I'll do it for free for the next hour while I'm here. Barry's trying on pants. I can help you put an outfit together. I mean, how hard is it? Yeah. But I think, when you look to some of the, like those industry standards, like Ritz-Carlton or Four Seasons, incredible client experience. The way you're greeted when you come in. We stayed at the Four Seasons with my dog, and because I said I was coming with a dog and they asked his name, they knew that James was coming in. They have treats for him in their pocket. They remember your name. I don't know how they do it, but there's hundreds of thousands of people staying in the hotel.
Yeah.
And you come out of the elevator. How are you doing today, Mr. Ennis? I mean, it's just incredible. The lengths that they go to. Intercontinental is another one that does. I used to teach classes there, so even at the gym, and you're taught. You're indoctrined into the culture. You spend 4 days with HR before you're ever allowed to set foot on the floor, and you're taught everything from how to interact with your peers and your colleagues, when to make eye contact, when to speak, how to treat the clients, like even if it's not your job, always walking them somewhere instead of pointing, things like that. So this is what creates this VIP experience that people are willing to spend more money on and that will come back to over and over again. Nordstrom's is famous for their customer service. It was the only place my grandmother shopped for years. Everybody knew her name. They knew what we liked. They remember the products that you buy frequently. Anthropology is another really great brand where they are never selling you anything, and the whole shopping experience is like going on a trip to another country.
Yeah, it is cool, huh?
Right, and that's their whole. There's a really great article about them actually online, and how you'll never see a 2-for-1 jeans. Like that's not part of their thing. They want their client, which their ICA, their ideal client avatar, is so clear. They know exactly what she wants. They know who she is. They know what she ate for breakfast. They know where she's going on vacation. And so everything speaks to that. And this is something that is missing in fitness.
Yeah.
So I bring up these other brands that have been around for years and years and years, because in our industry, we see businesses pop up and die. I can't tell you how many apps I have been on that have gone nowhere. I have done full on videos and programming for something like 10 apps that you've never heard of. They born and they die, born and die. And the same is with studios. If they don't do this work, they close within 2.5 years, guaranteed, every single time.
And you know what? It doesn't matter if you are a huge brand name. I've been into SoulCycle studios where I don't get any eye contact or acknowledgement from the front desk when I walk in. And guess what? That's my first interaction. I don't want to go back to that studio.
Right.
So it doesn't matter how big or how small you are. If you get really good at this, you're going to find success.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apple Store. Apple Store is amazing. They actually got their model from Ritz.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I read this article years ago, and that was fascinating to me. So how do you guys see, I mean, obviously technology now is becoming a huge part of client experience. I think if you look at any of the major boutique gym franchises, they all have some part of tech, right?
Yes.
Whether it be at least a heart rate monitor at the minimum to some sort of like F45 has their DJ experience, and they have the TVs and they have all that going. And that's obviously a big part of it now. What trends are you guys seeing in the tech, and how is that starting to become an even bigger part?
So I think the first thing to mention is that it needs to enhance the experience that you're already creating.
Yes.
It is a tool to
emphasis on a tool.
It's a tool to help your business or help your clients. It is not your business model, which I think a lot of people get confused on.
There's always new tech coming out.
Yeah.
And it's easy and they're reaching out to you as a professional or a studio owner and encouraging you to adopt their tech, but you have to not just chase the shiny things. Make sure it's enhancing.
So what I see a lot is like very, very simple stuff, like what Rumble's doing with the projections on the wall. A lot of studios want that now. And so like my clients come to me, my fitness boxing clients. Yeah, we got to have the projections. Like, well, do you have,
what is that? Explain that, because I'm not familiar with that.
So Rumble is basically a boxing hit workout, and the room is divided in two. And so therefore the coach is responsible for two completely different workouts happening at the same time, much like Barry's boot camp.
Yeah.
Where half the people are on treads and then half the people are on the floor lifting weights. So what they've done, because the room is dark and the music's really loud, is they have projectors on the back of the room that tell you what I'm pointing at my own ceiling, that tell you what's happening in the round. So on the boxing side, it'll tell you the combo, and on the other side, it'll tell you, if you're doing,
curl to press on the floor, or if it's an AMRAP or an EMOM for the time given, like what those exercises are and how you move through them. So then everybody's like, yeah, I want projections. And it's like, well, is it necessary? How many things are happening in the room? So you just have to ask yourself, are you doing it because it's available and it's cool, and because Rumble does it? Or are you doing it because it genuinely serves a purpose in the room, and it's going to help your clients and it's going to help your clients stay connected in the workout, and it's going to help your trainer manage the room. There's also where we worked at in China, like video mapping, which is, a huge immersive experience. And Les Mills does it in a whole other way, where they have their ride. It's called the Trip. And we went to a ride. We were in some kind of crazy futuristic Egypt, flying through pyramids in space. Yeah.
It was so cool. It's like a California adventure, where if anybody's ever been on that ride, you just kind of
soaring over California.
Yeah.
And in front of a giant IMAX screen.
Yeah.
Oh, how cool. I've never done that. I want to do that.
Yeah. So Les Mills has that technology, and there are other people that do full on video mapping. So whether it's abstract or you're in space or something that just helps enhance the experience of the workout.
We were also at a conference in Florida, and we went to a talk by this guy who's doing a lot of tech in studios. And one of their main offerings is they have these interactive screens that you can install at different points through your studio.
And this is something I feel everybody could do.
Yeah, maybe. But I remember one of the things he said is you have to make sure that there's proper information and stuff on the screen to make people want to engage. Otherwise, they're not going to do it.
It's just, you've wasted your money and it's just a distraction in the studio. So we've all seen this when you walk in. Sometimes a studio will have a TV screen on the wall, and they'll put up maybe a class schedule or
an upcoming event.
Or a package they're selling.
Yeah.
And so it's like a news board, but really they're kind of just using it as
social media,
advertising space. They're
words.
God,
so hard.
But they're using it as a way to sell the stuff that sell their products. But there's so many other ways that you could be using that space.
One of the best examples he gave was there's a studio in New York. They displayed the subway schedule on one of those screens right next to the door. So that was huge for enhancing the client experience. They come out of class, they're able to check the schedule before they jump into the shower so they know they're not going to miss their train. They get to where they're going to next on time.
There's so many other features that you could provide for your clients. Can they check the weather if you live in an area like Chicago, where it can be really crazy and intense.
And neither of these examples would make sense in LA where there are no subways and no weather.
No.
So.
Right. But traffic patterns, let's say, like what's the freeway looking like right now? Like, am I going to make it to work on time? Do I have time to take a shower before I walk out the door of the studio or blow dry my hair? That makes like a big difference to people. And that's an added value. I love going to the studio because this board gives me information that helps me plan my day and manage my time.
Then there's like a whole other side of tech with like metrics and data to help incentivize clients and give them a way to reach certain goals and gamify the workouts and provide a more personalized experience to them.
But again, it needs to make sense with your programming and it needs to make sense for your clientele. It has to be something that they want. I had a client, another fitness boxing studio that was like, so our differentiator is their one differentiator is going to be, we're going to incorporate heart rate monitors. Okay. Well, let's talk about it because they've got to pick up wraps, gloves, water, towel, heart rate monitor. It's a lot of stuff to have on your hands. The room is dark. We're boxing with music, and then what technology are we having in the room? Are we getting instant feedback? Like, is there a board like what you see at Orange Theory, or is this a readout that you get at after class? Both are valuable. How distracting is this going to be to this particular workout, and is it necessary? Also, is it effective? Is it worth tracking our heart rate in a fitness boxing class? Maybe, maybe not. So we have to test it out. And then get all the way back to, I always go back to what is the client's core value and what is their mission for the studio? How important is this really? Is part of your mission that we offer cutting edge technology and data tracking? If that's not in your core values of your business, they can go find it somewhere else, So eventually we scrapped it. It was not part of it wasn't in their heart. It was like, we're going to grab at something that makes us different. And that's fine. I think it's totally fine to say, other people aren't doing this. Can we do this? Or everybody's doing this cool thing. Maybe we can do that. But then you really have to check back into, does this really make sense for our brand? Or are we just doing it because technology is hot right now?
Yeah.
And when there's so many different ways to do it, we've already mentioned 5. You could have projections on the wall. You could have video mapping. It could be in the your screens that you have in the studio that share information. It could be a way that you engage in social media. There's so many different ways. You could have some body metrics testing before you come to class as an additional offering to keep people on track. Does that make sense with your workout? Yep. Is that the focus? Is that what your clients are coming in for?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's tech flying at us from every direction. I think you make such good points. Is like, well, let's take a step back. Does it actually make sense for what we're trying to achieve? And that's it, right? Yeah. Like, and who am I trying to help? And
is it and can it easily be integrated into what you're doing if it's something new? You know, if it's going to require you to overhaul your whole back end system, is that worth it for you right now? How financially successful are you? How fast are you growing? Like, take a look at some of the other factors before. We were talking with another client who wanted to integrate some new data tracking technology, but their website and the whole back-end software system couldn't support it. Mm-hmm. So then they've got to spend thousands of dollars. Not only do they have to invest in the data tracking itself and then the equipment that goes in the room, but now all of the software on the back end, they have to overhaul their website, maybe change their CRM system so that those two things
can talk to each other.
Yeah, right.
And is that really, did you survey your clients? Do they even want it? Do they care?
Yeah. And oh my God, the number of times where they don't even do that is shocking.
Yeah.
This is cool. This is happening right now. They'll like it. We'll put it in.
I like it. They'll like it. Yeah. Right? That's kind of the thing.
Oh no, you'll learn really fast. The clients will freak out when you change something, even if it's good for them. They'll freak out. So you got to make sure they want it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, this is really, really insightful. I really enjoy the way that you guys approach things. You know what I mean? Like it's a good solid approach. Give our audience some insights, like where they find you. Is there anything you guys want to offer them? Let them know.
Yeah, well, we wanted to, before we leave super quick, we just wanted to give you guys a few tips as you're listening to this stuff and you're digesting it and you're thinking,
how does this apply to me? What do I do with this information?
Yeah, I think that it's super simple. Like, I think it's 4 steps. The first step is to always check in with yourself and your brand's mission and core values. And if you don't know what that means, you missed a major, major step that is like integral to how you operate and your growth. You can call us. We can help you with that. It's something we're really, really passionate about. I think you can tell.
Go to fitnesscareermastery.com/brand building. We have a free worksheet that will help you get really clear on that.
We have an episode on core values and why those are important. So always just go back to the foundation where you started from and why you're doing this and who your clients are and what they want. And the next step is to check in with your clients.
Yeah, if you're a business owner, you're going to want to survey your clients at least quarterly to check in and make sure that you're providing the kind of experience that they want, that you're providing a solution for their main pain points and problems. And if there's anything you need to tweak, in order to align yourself better with
simple questions. Where are we excelling? Where are we falling short? What do you love? What do you not love? What would you like to see in the studio that we don't currently offer? You might think that it's heart rate monitors, and they might say, I'd love a food delivery service.
Yeah.
They might say, wouldn't it be fun to have Sunday brunch? Workout. You'll be surprised, what they want. So, and that's really important. We do that. We survey our clients and our guests all the time.
And just want to make a note here. It's not enough to look at class reviews on ClassPass or Yelp or something like that, because those are always the outliers, the people that are super unhappy with your experience are the ones that are over the top. And you want to find out the people that are in between.
Yeah. And then the third step would be to check in with your team. Just, have a team meeting. I'm shocked at how many studio owners or business owners don't have monthly or bi-monthly meetings are even quarterly. They're like meeting once a year, and then like all of these expectations are set and they don't understand why nobody's meeting them.
Yeah.
It's so important to just sit down and communicate and get really, really clear on what your objectives, whether it's KPIs or, whatever it is that you want to achieve as a team, and just asking them, are they happy? Are they healthy at work? You can also survey them. If you use something like Gusto as your payroll, it's really easy to do that. They'll send out surveys for you, and the response, it's always anonymous, or you can do it yourself. Anonymous surveys for your team, I think work best so that people will speak candidly.
Clearly we're a fan of surveys.
Yeah, but like let your team know that you're open to feedback. They've got eyes and ears and feet on the ground. They're hearing about what's cool. And so maybe they'll have a solution or an idea that really works for you. And I think making sure that they feel heard. So listening to them doesn't mean that you have to take action on everything, but just know that like there's a place for them to share their thoughts.
Yeah.
And then
once all of that's done, you circle back
to
and
yourself.
check in with yourself again. You have a lot more information now. How does it all align with you and your core values and your mission? Yeah.
So if you're really looking to quote unquote Peloton that shit, right? It's like check in with your, like, is that what we really want to do? Is that what we need right now? Yeah. Do my clients want it? Is my team on board?
Yeah.
After I gather this information, is this really right for me? If the answer is yes, then you go for it. If the answer's you don't know, then it's a no. It needs to be a hell yes. It needs to be 100% we're moving forward on this. Everybody is on board. You, whether you're a personal trainer and you own your business, or an online business, or a brick and mortar studio, like you're not one person. There's so many people involved. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's it. That's our takeaway for the day is just those little check-ins, going over the touch points. That was another one the last thing is every once in a while, just stop and slow down and take a look at your touch points. that your
clients go through.
Yeah. From the second from signing up, from being at home and thinking about signing up for class, how your website operates and what that looks like for them, to walking in the door, what music is playing in the lobby. Love of God, please do not play Skrillex at 7:30 in the morning. Right?
I'm traumatized by Skrillex.
It's really, I love Skrillex, but not in the lobby or the bathroom at 7 a.m. Please. People don't think about this. It's so important. Like what's happening in the bathroom? What's happening in the locker rooms? What's happening in the hallways? What's the flow like? Is the technology, are your tools helping your clients, or is there a disconnect there? And then the class programming and all of that, to long after they leave the studio, and how they're going to feel afterwards, and how you connect with them again.
And how can you continually refine to make that a more meaningful experience for them?
Yeah.
So I think that's a big one. And that's where you can start to fill in those holes. Like, oh, do I at my 5:30 classes are so full. I need to automate some stuff. We need to get some iPads, and people need to be able to check in themselves so that I can spend more time helping new clients and you're just checking managing traffic flow and
with old clients.
Yeah. And it frees me up so that I can stop and say hello or answer a question instead of what's your name? What's your shoe size or whatever.
Yeah.
But do I need that kind of automation? Do I need that technology at like a 12 p.m. class? Is my front desk associate just sitting behind the desk on their cell phone while 5 people come in and check in on an iPad? No, put the iPad away. Speak to them.
Yeah.
When the 50 people walk in the door, bust out the iPads, right?
Yeah,
Figure out where technology is going to help you, rather than like completely like separate you from your clients, which we see a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic, you guys. Go ahead. Finish it off.
In terms of where to find us, looping back to that, you can go to fitnesscareermastery.com. We have tons of resources there. You can see all of our podcast episodes. You can join our community at fitnesscareermastery.com/community. We have listeners and clients from all over the world, and you can find like-minded professionals like yourself to connect with and network with and help you level up in your career. And then we're on Instagram at Fitness Career Mastery. So
everything is Fitness Career Mastery.
Yeah.
And you can email us from any of those places. You can find out where
please reach out. Reach
us directly.
Yeah. Great stuff, you guys. Awesome. My poor wife, everything we do now, it's going to be, let's Peloton that shit. It's just going to be like, yeah, thanks Barry and Shay for everything. Well, you guys, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. Obviously, you guys think deeply about what you're trying to do and where the fitness industry is going. So you're one of the good guys, or two of the good guys and girl. It's really great to have you. And
thanks for having us, Eric.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll be talking soon.
This was great. Thank you so much.
You got it. Hey, fitness fans, don't leave yet. It's your host, Eric Malzone, and I have a quick favor to ask. Actually, 3 favors. So, number 1, if you're a fan of our show, I asked you to do something that takes under 3 minutes. Go to iTunes, please, and subscribe to our show. Please, please, please. It means so much to us. It's so important. And then give us a favorable review. We would really, really appreciate it. And I can't tell you how much it means and helps us out. So it only takes 2 minutes of your day, and it means a lot to us. So please do that. Number 2, go to our YouTube channel, or Fitness Marketing Alliance, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel there. Number 3, if you like this episode or any of the episodes that we've released, share it on social. That's huge. That's a big deal for us. And we put a lot of work into these episodes, trying to give you great, actionable content for the fitness industry. So that would mean a lot. And that's it. So we have some big plans coming up for this show. I'll be talking about that in the next couple episodes. But thank you so much for listening. It means so much. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I love to hear from everybody. Eric, ERIC, at fitnessmarketingalliance.com.